What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Locks DFS MLB Breakdown. My name is Narang. I'm from locksdfs.com. You can find me on Twitter at reallyaddy, and you can find all my content and work at locksdfs.com. If you want to go ahead and get a pass and join the team, be it MLB, NBA, NHL, any sort of pass, you can go ahead and do that at locksdfs.com/shop, and that'll take you to where to get all the goods. So, with that being said, we got a 9-game main slate. I believe it's 9-game. 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yo, we got a 9-game main slate for MLB on tap. I'm going to break it down for DraftKings and FanDuel, give you guys a few of my favorite pitching options and a few of my favorite spots to go to or to look for bats. So let's just get right into it. So starting at the top, just been perusing around the rest of the space. I've seen a lot of David Price chatter early. I get it. I mean, it's a really sort of I'm not going to say a dead slate for pitching. There's a lot of options here, but there's no big names. There's no Scherzers, there's no Strasburgs, there's no any of those Sales, none of those guys. So the biggest name we have right now is David Price, and I think that alone is going to raise his ownership quite a bit. It's not a matchup I really want to go after with a lefty. This is an Oakland team that can lean fairly right-handed, especially with Matt Olson currently out of the lineup. That's one lefty bat that they won't be playing. Instead, it's like Kendrys Morales, who's a switch hitter. But they got a lot of good lefty hitters. They have Matt Chapman, who's an amazing hitter, hits lefties a lot better than, or not a lot better, but hits lefties better than righties. Chris Davis, they have another guy who with the platoon advantage on David Price. And David Price to me projects great. I mean, he's a 10.1K for a reason, but xFIP last year of around 4, mediocre walk rate, K per 9, like 1 strikeout per 9, just a decent pitcher, not a guy that I think should be overwhelming chalk on a slate like this. And so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him. What really I want to talk about is a few other options, and that's really coming into this Miami game. I'm interested in both sides of this one. It's Steven Matz versus Caleb Smith, and both guys are real interesting prospects. We'll start with Caleb Smith. I mean, these were his numbers prior to his shoulder surgery that he ended up having, but he had a K rate over 10 per 9, an xFIP very, very low versus lefties, 3.38, and a 4.8 xFIP to righties. It came with obviously not a great ground ball rate. He was a fly ball pitcher, but pitching in a park like Marlins Park that's so big and spacious, I don't think that is to his disadvantage. In fact, I think it favors him a little bit being a fly ball pitcher, sort of like you saw like Marco Estrada pitch well versus the Angels. Fly ball pitcher, big park, it can really mitigate a lot of their mistakes because it's just a cavernous ballpark. So we've seen this Mets lineup throughout the early part of the season put up a good amount of runs, but they do lean heavily left-handed. Their projected lineup just right now has 3 lefties in it and a pitcher spot, which is certainly a pretty viable spot for Caleb Smith, a guy that I think could definitely finish up sort of the breakout that he started last year, and you're getting a lot of potential strikeouts at only 7.6K on DraftKings, so I really like that a lot. And then on the other side of this, we have Steven Matz. Steven Matz, a little bit safer, I would say, than Caleb Smith, but he's a guy who had a 4.15 xFIP to righties last year, 4.04 to lefties. But I think what's important to note is that September, October numbers, he had a 10.86 K per 9, which was significantly higher than his K per 9 on the season. He had a 3.62 xFIP, which was lower than his xFIP on the season. So he showed a lot of improvements, and I look back at why that happened. It was primarily because he started throwing his slider more. He upped his slider's usage almost twice as much, and I think that's something that if he carries on to this season, he could have a lot of success with, and it's something I'm assuming he will carry on to this season. We know how bad this Marlins team is. They actually their lineup just came out. They threw out an all right-handed lineup, which definitely doesn't help match. It'd be nice to have a couple lefties in there, but he does get a pitcher spot, and I'm not too worried about a lot of these righties. I mean, there's strikeouts up and down this lineup, and there's not a lot of high wobas in that lineup either. So, and in addition with this game, we're seeing the over get hit pretty hard. I mean, we're seeing the under get hit pretty hard. Excuse me. Let me see if I can find it for you. I'm probably skipping past it, and you guys are probably going crazy. Okay, here we go. So opened up at 8. It's received 45% of bets on the over, and has dropped to 7.5. That's what you like to see. It means this 45% of the bets has more money than this 55%. Very, very minimal reverse line movement, but it's nice to see it dropping overall. So getting a 3-5 team total for Miami, where Steven Matz is pitching against, and then a 4-1 for Caleb Smith and the versus the Mets. I think that is I think those are both super viable spots, and you could maybe even go with both of them, just back and forth and hope for a pitcher's duel. The last guy that I think is pretty interesting, the last guy I'm going to talk about is Julio Urias, 8.7K. The last we saw Julio Urias really get a big sample size in the majors was in 2016, where he posted a 3.79 xFIP versus righties and a 3.35 xFIP versus lefties. Really, really dominant stuff. We haven't seen him pitch since then, which obviously isn't great. But in spring, he was dominant as well. The big catch here is Dave Roberts could limit his innings. I mean, they're gonna limit his innings. We just don't know exactly by how much. Hopefully, we get some news on a pitch count as we get closer to lock. But if he pitches 5 innings, which I'm assuming he will, and doesn't go all Michael Pineda 40 pitches last slate, I think we could easily see him put up the highest score on the slate, even with a 6-inning max, 6-inning cap, if that is something that's on him, which seems pretty reasonable. But we just saw Dave Roberts let Maeda go over 100 pitches in his first start, so who knows? I mean, I think for 8.7K versus a bad San Francisco team and the lowest team total on the slate at 3.1, I think that's definitely a spot to target. So that'll probably wrap it up for pitching, and let's just move on to bats, and let's go over some spots in general. One spot I want to target is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over despite it not working. But we're stacking Toronto again versus David Hess. David Hess is awful, and these Toronto bats project a lot better than they've shown. These are David Hess's numbers last year: 5.64 xFIP to lefties, 5.3 xFIP to righties. The real big number I want to draw you to is our home run per 9 rate to lefties, over 2.55 home runs per 9 innings, and still an above average rate versus righties at 1.25. Obviously, goes hand in hand with him being a massive fly ball pitcher. You don't even see a home run to fly ball rates that are too elevated. Like, this number is honestly could regress up a little bit, and this might regress down a little bit. But giving up this many fly balls in the major leagues is gonna leave you with inflated home run per 9 rates. So look to the lefties here on Toronto, but also look to some of these righties. We have Billy McKinney leading off. I think he's certainly in play. Justin Smoke as well. I think you can get a lot of power out of Rowdy Tellez, who hit that game-tying 3-run home run yesterday. Randall Grichuk as well. I like a lot of these guys, and think they make for a great stack, and I think their team total reflects it as well. They're sitting at a 5.2 team total, I believe. 5.2 team total, which is one of the highest on the slates. I believe the second highest, so definitely a spot to go after. Another spot I like a lot is the Tampa Bay Rays. They're going up against Chad Bettis. Chad Bettis profiles are just a middling pitcher at best. 4.19 xFIP to lefties, 5.22 to righties, inflated home run per 9 rates. He walks too many guys. The one thing he does good is he does generate ground balls at a decent clip, which is good for him in mitigating runs, but I just don't think it'll matter too much versus this Rays team that I think is going to have a lot better of an offense than a lot of us expected going into this year. Looks like Austin Meadows could be a guy that's on the verge of breaking out. We know how talented of a hitter Tommy Pham is. And then the rest of their lineup has some depth to it, with Willy Adames batting 9th, one of their top prospects. Interested in this Rays team, and I think it's reflected in the jump in their team total. This whole game has jumped by 1. It opened at 7.5, sitting at 8.5 now. We have 53% of bets on the Rays, yet they move from -122 to -159. Certainly a lot of line movement in their favor, and we've seen their team total jump by 0.8, which is pretty massive, especially this early in the day. So definitely looking towards a few Rays, and I think one of my home run calls is going to come from this game as well. I'll do that right when we get to the end. And then the last spot I want to talk about could end up being a fairly chalky spot, but it's versus Drew Smyly with the Houston Astros. Drew Smyly, he hasn't pitched in the majors in over 2 years. When he did pitch last, he has a fairly good career in the majors. However, The last we saw of him, he was getting hit around fairly decently. 4.65 xFIP to righties, 3.95 xFIP to lefties, and most importantly, just elevated home runs per 9 rate. He's going to have to do a lot better keeping that in check if he wants to have success this time around, and he's going to have to lower these fly ball rates. 53% to lefties, 48.4% to righties is just not going to cut it, especially if you're going to pitch in your home ballpark, being Arlington. And now he's going up against an Astros team that leans primarily right-handed. A lot of their best bats have platoon splits versus lefties. Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Correa, Yuli, Tyler White, Chirinos, Jake Marisnick, all of those guys have positive splits versus lefties, and all of them are projected to be in the lineup. So could be a real tough spot for Drew Smyly, and we see that in the rising team total for Houston from 5.3 to 5.4. So those are real 3 spots that I'm looking at to target with bats. There's a bunch of other spots on this slate, so don't limit yourself to just those 3. Definitely do some more research, get some more exposure to some of these other spots. But those are where I'll look to start the day. And then let's do some home run calls. So a guy in the comments had a really great idea about having a home run. Man, that guy was supposed to be the winner of the giveaway, and I don't remember his name. So the guy who left the comment for adding a home run call section to these videos, you're the winner of this week's giveaway. I'm gonna go find your comment, and I'm gonna make it like a pinned comment under this video, so we have it in writing and so we know for sure. But you won the giveaway. If you know who you are, go ahead and send us a DM to Locks DFS on Twitter, and we'll hook you up with a free season pass of your choice for leaving a great comment like that. So we're gonna go ahead and implement that right now. My first home run call is going to be a low price home run call. That's going to be sub 4K, and then my next one is going to be above 4K. My sub 4K home run call is going to come from Tampa Bay, and it's going to be Ji-Man Choi at 3.9. He's hitting third on a Rays lineup that I've already talked about so much why I like it. We know Chad Bed is getting rocked by lefties, has a 1.35 home run per 9 per lefties, giving up a lot of hard contact. And Ji-Man Choi is a guy that has a lot of power in a limited sample size. Last year he hit 44.7% hard contact rate versus righties, 48.5% at home. He gets the ball up in the air, and is definitely a guy I think could go yard in this matchup. And then my high price guy, I'm going back to Mike Trout. I'm not really a BVP guy. I think there is value in knowing batter versus pitcher, but I never use it as far as making concrete decisions with my lineup. Only maybe in a deciding factor, as a last resort type thing, except Paul Goldschmidt versus Tim Lincecum and Mike Trout versus Felix Hernandez. So my high price guy, high price Dawn is going to be Mike Trout. I mean, he's 31 of 83 versus Felix with 8 home runs, 2 triples, 4 doubles, 373 average. It's just he rakes them. He has crazy numbers versus a lot of pitchers, but his numbers versus Felix are just extra good. That team total is jumping for the Angels. I think he's a guy that can make a fairly good bet he's going to go yard, and I will have some decent exposure to him tonight as well. So with that all being said, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Make sure to leave a like and comment to be entered in next week's giveaway. I will announce that winner next Monday. All you got to do is leave a like and comment. You'll be entered into a free season pass of your choice. But yeah, with that all being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you win a ton of money tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.